Hi guys! So today I'm going to be making a little video of talking about my study abroad experience. Sorry if you hear birds. There's some workmen doing some stuff at a house near me. It's so nice out that I decided to come outside and the lighting is nice. So yeah. So basically I am going to give you guys some tips on studying abroad or just travel tips. If you are new or haven't watched any of my vlogs, I spent second half of this past spring semester in Ireland. My university has a program where we go for half semester, so 2 months, 8 weeks. About 30 of us went with 4 of our faculty members from my university. So I lived in Dungarvan, Ireland, which is on the southeast coast of Ireland, a few hours from Dublin, and it was right in between Waterford and Cork. It was about an hour away from both of those places. And then I had the opportunity to travel in Ireland, like throughout Ireland, as well as I went to 3 countries and cities that was not in Ireland. One of which was with the entire group of 30 of us from my university, and the other one I got to go on 2 separate weekend trips from my group with 2 of my best friends and my roommates, Rose and Margaret, and it was absolutely amazing. I had the best time and I miss it. I just went through and watched some of my old vlogs yesterday just because I was feeling sentimental. I don't know, I wanted to watch them and I hadn't watched them in a while and it was fun and I miss it and I already want to go back to Europe. One of my best friends from home is studying abroad in Rome next spring, she just told me, and I was already like, okay, like I'm visiting you, like I have to. So I guess that's all I have to intro, so let's get started. Okay, so one of my biggest tips for traveling and planning trips is deciding who you're going to travel with, because it really makes a difference in your trips and what you're going to do while you're there. And yeah, you just want to travel with people that you get along with, that you can be with 24/7, because you're traveling together, like physically flying, and then you're spending all your time together. And in our situation, we couldn't go somewhere by ourselves. That was a rule stipulation that our university had, so we couldn't just fly somewhere completely by ourselves for a weekend. We had our weekends off and we were able to travel on Fridays, so we had no classes on Fridays. So most of my separate trips, which I did 2, was Friday to Sunday or Thursday night to Sunday. But again, travel with people that you are friends with or you can get along with. That's really the main thing. I recommend traveling with 2 to 3 people at maximum. I traveled with, again, I said 2 people, 2 of my best friends, Rose and Margaret, and we were such good travel companions and buddies. We really didn't have any issues. We also lived together in Ireland in our townhouse, and we were all really able to get along and travel well together, basically 24/7. It was amazing. I wouldn't change that for the world. And sometimes we were in a bigger group hanging out or like spending a day with some of our other friends who came to Ireland with us, and we would be in a group as big as 9 or 11 people sometimes, trying to go in a museum or a restaurant or something. And I love hanging out with all of them, and it was absolutely amazing, and it's so much fun to be able to travel with so many of your friends like that. But sorry if you can hear my dog, she's whining right now, baby Luna. It's amazing, but it can be difficult at times. Just even going into a restaurant and getting a table for that many people can be difficult, or a reservation, which we didn't really have many reservations for things. Splitting a bill is very difficult. That kind of gives me anxiety, trying to split a bill between 10 people. Some places are really nice about it, and a lot of times people would use debit cards, so like in Europe, instead of you getting the bill, putting the card on it, and they take it and do it, they bring you the card reader. So then the poor waiter has to go around to each and every person to do the card thing there separately, which I always felt terrible about doing. Most places were good, but not everywhere will be. So I would say do your research. If you're cool with it, you can have one person put it all in one bill and Venmo each other. Or you can call ahead to a restaurant and ask if they split menus, or split bills, sorry. A lot of places will have it outside or on their website, so that you can plan accordingly and plan ahead for that. But yeah, that's one tip I have, is splitting a bill is one of the reasons that traveling in a big group can be difficult. Even just walking somewhere, like walking across a street in a foreign country where you're not used to which way the traffic is going, that even can just be difficult. Or sometimes, for some reason, I don't know why I'm like this, I have a fairly good sense of direction, and I was able to use my phone in Europe, and I would always just pull up Google Maps. It's okay, Luna. I was always able to use Google Maps to get us somewhere, and I would usually just like lead the pack, whether it was me and 2 other people or me and 9 other people. So sometimes just being in a big group and not everyone's knowing exactly where we're going, that can be difficult, just walking in that large of a group. And then there's just, if you haven't fully planned out what you're gonna do while you're there, just deciding what everyone's gonna do. And you really just have to be flexible, especially if you are going to travel in that large of a group, because you have to take into consideration what everyone wants to do. It's not just all about you, and you have to make sacrifices, and you're not maybe going to be able to do everything you wanted, or something's not going to go your way. Like, are you going to go and do this that's really close that you kind of want to do, or are you going to go halfway across the city to do something else? Or you have to take into consideration what time something closes. So those are all just a couple different things that can be difficult about traveling in a large group, but it's still really fun. If you can make it work, that's great. We were able to sometimes, but that didn't come without some sacrifices and a little bit of not everyone getting exactly what they wanted. Not drama, just little conflict. I don't know. Yeah. So the next thing that I would recommend is take into consideration how long you have for where you want to go. Most of the trips that we could plan was just weekend trips. So 3 days, like 2 nights, 3 days, or 3 nights, 4 days, which wasn't fully because we had to be back in Ireland by like Sunday night, like late evening. We chose to go to Rome, the trip that we had an extra night to get there, because from Ireland it's a 3-hour direct flight, Dublin to Rome. Originally we were going to go to Paris, but Paris is 2-hour flight or less, and then we chose to go to Paris, a time where we just had 2 nights, because it's a shorter flight. So we chose to go the place we had the longer flight to for more time, because more travel is required to get there. I know a lot of students studying abroad, or just when you go on trips, if you can go somewhere for an entire week, I would also recommend taking day trips within that week where you're in that city. So if I had more time in Rome, I would have absolutely taken the train to go to Florence, because it's only an hour and a half, and European trains are 10 times better than American trains. Like, they put Amtrak to shame. The Irish Rail is amazing, so easy, convenient, not very expensive, and it can get you anywhere around that country. So my point being, take into consideration how long you have when you're choosing where you want to go. After you decide where you want to go and who you're going with, the 2 next things that you have to do is book a flight and book where you're staying. Those are the 2 most important things before you book an event or a reservation for something like a restaurant, because the cost can change so drastically if you wait too long. We booked everything about 2 months, 1 month in advance. I did a lot of the booking, or just like looking at flights, and Airbnbs is what we did mostly. Luna, no. No. I used Google Flights to find all of my flights for Europe, all being 2. I used Google Flights to find all of our flights. I am like the biggest Google Flights fan now, because you can save flights on your tracker. So if you're, for example, looking for a flight from Dublin to Paris, which is what I did, you can go put in the date, the return, or the to and from dates, if it's a round trip flight. You can put a price range you want to be in between, which I didn't really do because I just wanted to see what the price was. You can put in morning, evening, night, and you can specify what airport you want, if there's more than one airport in a city, which I guess there's 2 airports in Paris, but we went in and out of CDG, which is Charles de Gaulle, which is like the main airport. And so when you save a flight, it notifies you when the prices go up and down. So if you're trying to wait and see if it's going to go, the price is going to go down, which a lot of times if I waited longer, the prices just went up. So I tried to book ASAP once I found the one that I wanted. I believe we paid around $200 round trip. We took Aer Lingus from Dublin to CDG, or Paris. Aer Lingus is like my favorite European airline now. Really easy, great, I love it. Hydrate before you dihydrate, am I right, kids? So, Google Flights helps you find the best time for you and the best price. I didn't want to find a flight that left Friday night because I had all of Friday to spend in a place, so we took a 6 a.m. flight out of Dublin, and got to Paris before 10 a.m. and then we had the entire day, Friday, whole day Saturday, and then we left late morning Sunday because we had to be back in Ireland Sunday night. So it really is the best way to find the right price and time for you. If the airline matters to you, that is another thing to consider. And you also have to check, I can't stress this enough, if a bag is included on your airline or flight. So Aer Lingus, you just get a personal item, which is like a purse or a backpack, and a carry-on. I used the like roll carry suitcase as my carry-on, and that was included. But if you wanted to check a bag on Aer Lingus, which many European airlines are, they charge you to fully check a bag, which I think a lot in the States do now too. So on Ryanair, you have to pay to even take a carry-on. So a lot of my friends, when they took Ryanair, they just took a backpack because it cost €10 extra each way to take a carry-on. So unless you really needed it, I would try to not do that. It's also easier for checking in and leaving the airport. Checking in is a lot easier. You just can go up to a station and grab your boarding pass, and then you don't need to go to baggage claim when you leave if you already have everything. Where we stayed in Europe, we did Airbnbs over hostels, which I found when I was booking that Airbnbs were not much more expensive than a hostel. And the little bit of price difference, me and my 2 friends, we were willing to pay just for the safety and security of only us being in the apartment and us having our own key, being able to come and go when we wanted to, and we were willing to pay that little bit extra. I have nothing against hostels. I think it's a great option if you need it. And there were some cities that if we did go there, we would have stayed in hostels, like for example Amsterdam. all the hotels and Airbnbs that I found were quite expensive if you wanted to be centrally located in the city, and so we would have probably had to do a hostel there. And I know that's very common and the price is good, but for us personally, we just chose to do Airbnbs, and I wouldn't change what we did because we had great experiences. Now, something I can't stress enough is book, if you choose your Airbnb, like, try to be as centrally located in the city as possible. This can save so much time on getting somewhere in the city, planning out your days. You can save so much time because then you don't need to take as much time to Uber, which I never did. Walking, like, you can walk a lot in the cities, which we did a ton, and you might not have to take as many like taxis or subways, which we also took subways as well. Like, I found a great Airbnb a minute walk from the Trevi Fountain that wasn't right in all of the commotion. It was on a little back street. So for Rome, we were very centrally located, and for Paris, the Airbnb that I found was right near the Eiffel Tower, a couple blocks away, right near the Champ de Mars, which is the park in front of the Eiffel Tower, and that really made a difference for us in our days. Being centrally located enough to come back in the middle of the day rather than being out all day is something that we really liked. Stopping in before dinner to use the bathroom, a nice clean bathroom, to freshen up, to take a little siesta for 30 minutes and recharge your batteries on your phone and stuff. Yeah, and that was great. And then another place that we were really nice and centrally located was as a group. Our little spring break with my group from school was in Barcelona, and our teacher that booked our hotel found a great hotel on the Plaça de Catalunya, and that was so nice because Barcelona is pretty big and we did a lot of walking, but a lot of the hop-on, hop-off buses and subways had stations, or stations in the plaza, a block from our hotel, barely. So central location, if you can find the right price, is absolute must in my book. A few of my other tips about packing for trips is don't leave it to the last minute, especially when you have an early morning flight, because you're not gonna be able to or want to pack at 2 in the morning when you have to be at the airport by 4 and your flight leaves at 6. That's not something you want to have to deal with. So for packing in a carry-on, choose your outfits ahead of time so that you only take what you need. That way you're not bringing random pieces, and you know you have an outfit for as many days as you're there, and like pajamas and whatever else you need. Check the weather ahead of time so that you have a raincoat, you have proper shoes, you know if you're going to be cold or too hot. Depending on where you're going, check the weather for sure. And always save a little bit of room in your suitcase, carry-on, whatever, for souvenirs and shopping clothes, because we definitely did some shopping in some of the cities that we went to. Some of my friends and roommates really did a lot of souvenir shopping, and they all made it work. But definitely take that into consideration if you know that you're going to end up buying some things. Also, another tip that I have, or just not a tip, something else I have to say about traveling is that you're not going to get as much sleep as you want. You're going to stay up kind of late, you're going to have to get up early for a flight, or just because you don't want to sleep the day away and you want to get as much in as possible as you can. She was barking, so now she's here. Luna! Oh! Hi! Say hi to the camera! Luna! Who is that? Who is that? That's baby Luna. Okay. Yeah, this isn't gonna work. Let's see if you sit here. Something else that I definitely recommend is get recommendations from locals or social media or blogs, vlogs, whatever. But definitely locals is something you should definitely do, especially for food. In Rome, obviously you're in Italy, like you want to eat all the pasta, gelato, pizza, everything. And when we checked into our Airbnb, the man that let us in, Paolo, not Paolo, he gave us some great recommendations and tips on where to eat and how to know not where to eat. So he said, which we did, and it worked well for us, we did not eat anywhere or go in somewhere that had a giant board of their menu with pictures on it. That's just people fishing to get customers, and the real places with the good, authentic Italian, great food don't need to do that. So he gave us some great recommendations of places to go. I can link some down below, of local places that had great food that was affordable. And yeah, definitely ask the locals, because if they'll eat it, it'll be tourists will love it too. So yeah, so definitely get recommendations from locals and just take recommendations, because usually when we, like, personally, they did not lead us astray. I can leave some down below for the places that I went. So if you didn't already understand, I went to Rome, Paris, and Barcelona outside of Ireland, and then in Ireland I spent time in Dublin and Galway, as well as Dungarvan, which is where I lived. Another tip I have for finances when you're studying abroad is I didn't have a credit card before I went, but I needed one because my debit card has foreign transaction fees. So if you're getting a credit card, or if your credit card, debit card has foreign transaction fees, get one with no foreign transaction fees, because that adds up, and that is not something that anyone wants to have to spend the extra money if you don't need to. Another way to save some money is to get an international student card. I almost got one of these and then I didn't. If I was there for an entire semester, I most definitely would have, because in Europe, your American university ID will not suffice for getting the student price on a train or on a flight or in a museum. Sometimes it can, but across the board, usually it wouldn't. So if you're there for a long enough time, I definitely recommend doing that, because you can save a lot of money that way. This might be kind of standard, but be careful in a new city, especially when you've never been there. Always keep your passport with you is something that our teachers told us, and that's really true. Keep your valuables with you, and get a proper way to carry them. So a lot of people had crossbody bags. I used my Longchamp tote bag, and I always kept the zippered side in the front so that pickpocketer couldn't get it as easily. My roommate Margaret had a crossbody bag that the zippers hooked, so it was a lot more difficult to get one open, and I think it was also slash proof, the fabric it was made out of. So definitely be careful and keep your valuables with you, because the last thing you want is to be stuck in a country with no money, no passport, and no ID. That would be absolutely terrible, and it's obviously happened to people before. So yeah. Hi, so sorry this is such bad quality. This is future me popping in while I'm editing, with a few other tips to add for when you're studying abroad and your days while you're traveling. So always be prepared to do lots of walking, which I said earlier. Even though you're going to want to look cute maybe and wear nice shoes, be able to walk in them, because sometimes we did 10, 12 miles of walking in one day. Always dress in layers and be prepared for it to be colder than what the weather says, just in case. And then also another tip is bring your own water bottle, or save a plastic water bottle to fill it up places so that you don't need to spend money on water. And even some restaurants in Europe, they charge you for still water at the restaurants, a couple euro, which is kind of annoying. We did it a lot, but I know a lot of my friends just avoided it, even though you maybe should drink water, stay hydrated. But just think about that, because it's an annoying extra cost that you don't want to have to pay if you don't have to. So that's all I have to add right now. Hope you like the video. I will put in a little screen recording of my phone, but I definitely recommend downloading the app Google Trips. Phones and technology is so freaking smart now that in your calendar on your iPhone can put everything into one spot, and Google Trips will put all your reservations into one place. So for example, my Paris trip, it had everything all in one spot. So it had my Airbnb reservation, it had my flight reservation, and then on this app as well, it can give you options or recommendations for getting to and from the airport to city center. It can give you, sorry about the sound, I'm outside. It can give you recommendations for food, it can give you recommendations for what to do, and also do kind of what Margot's video did in the Google Maps Make Your Own. It can kind of give you an idea of what you should do right on the app. It's like so smart. It's ridiculous how good technology is these days. I sound like a grandma, but it's really true. So I definitely recommend using that app. So all these tips and tricks and things is just stuff that I did and have experienced and worked for me. I hope it works for you guys, and it can be used for studying abroad and students in Europe or in another country or even in the States. A lot of this can be helpful for just planning a trip in general. So thank you so much for watching this video. Please like and subscribe. If you have any questions about studying abroad or traveling or any other tips, leave a comment below. Also, leave a comment below if you have any video ideas or requests. I think I kind of really want to do the letting the person in front of me pick what I eat for 24 hours, like drive-through video. I think that'd be really fun. Yeah, but I'm hoping to still make more YouTube videos this summer and vlog. I really enjoyed it while I was in Europe, and I am looking forward to continuing. So yeah, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video.